Hi, it's Reggie. Welcome back to Moonlight and Moments. Have you ever felt like you were slowly disappearing? Like everything you worked for, your art, your voice, your presence, just quietly faded into the background? Maybe no one said it, maybe no one had to, but something inside whispered, "You're not enough." This is the second episode of October's Self Love Year series, and tonight we're stepping into a story that lives right at the edge of visibility and silence. A horror story, yes, but not the kind with monsters under the bed. This one lives in your own reflection, in the spaces between creation and doubt, in the ache of trying so hard to be seen and still feeling invisible. But what if the fear of not being enough isn't proof that you failed? What if it's just proof that you care? That you're still reaching, still here? So take a breath and let's begin. Elle moved into the flat in early November, after the leaves had gone dry and brittle, and the fog began to stretch like skin over the quiet town. It was the top floor of an old house that had once been an art gallery, a place that used to hold beauty, not hollowed by time. The landlord had offered it cheap, said it came with character. Elle thought that meant creaky floorboards or uneven windows. She didn't know it meant a silence so thick it listened back. She was freshly graduated, master's degree in illustration, folded and filed away, and for the first time in years, had no deadlines, no critiques, no one waiting for her next piece. She'd imagined freedom would feel like open skies, but instead, it felt like a closed door that wouldn't open. Weeks passed, then months. Sketches crumpled in corners, brushes stayed dry, canvas turned to dust. She told herself it was a break, a necessary slump. She told herself she was just tired, but somewhere inside her, the voice had already started. "You're not good enough. You peaked in school. You were never real." The flat didn't help. The ceilings were too high, the shadows too long, the windows too narrow to let in enough sun. There was a mirror in the hall that she hadn't hung. Tall, antique, smudged around the edges, but no matter how many times she tried to move it, it remained anchored in place. That's when she noticed the reflections. They weren't always hers. Sometimes it was subtle. A turn of the head that didn't match, a delay in the blink. Her mirror self would smile when she wasn't. Sometimes it was obvious. Charcoal-stained fingers when she hadn't touched her supplies in days. Eyes rimmed in black ink. A figure behind her that vanished when she turned. Still, Elle said nothing. She stopped looking at herself altogether. Then came the erasures. She'd wake up to find blank pages where she swore she'd drawn. Sketchbooks emptied like split water. Entire digital folders corrupted. At first she blamed herself. Maybe she'd forgotten to save. Maybe she'd imagined finishing them. But one day she found a sketch pinned to the wall of the unused studio room. She hadn't been in there for weeks. Had avoided it even. The smell of old turpentine made her nauseous. And yet, there it was. A figure drawn in her style, but not quite. The lines were too sharp. The eyes too hollow. Her name was gone from the bottom. In its place was a single word. Enough. That night, the mirror in the hallway cracked. Not shattered, cracked. Down the center like a seam splitting open. Behind it, she swore she saw movement. She stopped sleeping after that. Whispers began in the walls, too low to hear clearly, too close to ignore. She tried to drown them with music, but her phone glitched constantly. She couldn't keep anything charged, couldn't call anyone. The only messages that went through were the ones she sent to herself. "You're not enough. You never were. You're not even here." She wondered if she was losing her mind, wondered if maybe she had already gone. Then, on the coldest night of the month, She heard the door to the studio creak open by itself. She hadn't opened it. She would never open it. But the hinges sang through the silence like a scream. Inside, dozens of pieces lined the walls. Drawings, paintings, digital mock-ups, printed in high resolution. All her work, but altered, distorted, as if someone had taken her art and scraped her name off with a razor, replaced it with nothing. In the center of the room stood an easel she didn't own. On it was a half-finished portrait of her, but her features were wrong. Too smooth, too smiling, too perfect. A version of her that never doubted, never hesitated. The hands in the portrait were clean, the eyes confident. She backed away, but behind her, the studio door shut itself. Then the lights went out. She felt it in the dark, that version of her, stepping out from the canvas. Its breath hot and steady. It whispered the words again, but this time they weren't just thoughts. You're not enough. I'm what you were supposed to be. You're the sketch, I'm the final. Elle screamed, but no sound came out. Her throat was full of charcoal, her lungs packed with paper. The portrait reached toward her, and when the lights flickered back on, she was gone. Only the portrait remained, finished now, still smiling. Signed, enough. We don't talk about the quiet horror of feeling invisible, but sometimes the scariest thing isn't being watched. It's being seen and still feeling like you don't exist. And sometimes the monsters don't come from outside. Sometimes they come from the space we leave empty, when we stop believing we're worthy of being here at all. There's a particular kind of loneliness that lives in creative people. Not the kind solved by presence or proximity, but the ache that forms when what you create doesn't feel like it reflects your worth. Or worse, when it feels like the proof that you have none. The horror wasn't a creature. It wasn't violence or death. It was disappearance, a slow erasing, a vanishing of her name, her effort, her identity. And perhaps most chilling of all, the replacement of her true self with polished version. A version she was told she was supposed to become. This is the quiet psychological terror of not feeling enough. It doesn't scream, it settles. It doesn't chase, it waits. And it often wears the voice of our own doubt. To feel not enough is to live beside a version of yourself that could have been more successful, more talented, more admired, and to believe even for a moment that this better version is the one the world wanted. Not you, just a shinier, more filtered echo. But who defined enough anyway? Was it a teacher who graded you like a checklist? Was it an algorithm that measured your relevance by numbers? Was it a parent who meant well but only praised the wins? Sometimes the fear of not being enough doesn't come from failure, but from overperformance. From trying so hard to be the best, the brightest, the one who made it. That when the applause stops, you wonder if you're ever worth clapping for at all. Elle's story ends with her being finished by the ghost of perfection, a creation signed not with her name but with a lie, enough. Because that's what perfectionism promises, isn't it? That once we're good enough, we'll finally feel complete, visible, loved. But that moment never comes, because enough is not a destination, it's a decision. And for many of us, it's the hardest decision of all. We don't want to settle. We don't want to pretend we're fine when we're still growing. But not feeling enough doesn't mean you aren't. It means you're human. It means you care. It means there's still something in you worth loving, even when the mirrors lie. Elle never needed to be more. She needed to be believed by herself. The hunting began when she stopped trusting her own worth. The hunting ended, well, maybe it didn't. But what if it could have? What if she had turned toward the whisper and said, "Even unfinished, I am still real. Even unseen, I am still here." Because you are. Even if the numbers are low, even if the work feels wrong, even if your reflection looks tired, unsure, or strange, you are not a draft. You are not a version. You are already the whole piece. Most of us will never live in the haunted flat, but we've all lived with the haunted version of ourselves. The imagined better self who always says the right thing, creates the right work, never messes up, never doubts, never disappears. And when we compare ourselves to that version, it becomes hard to even see the person we actually are. The fear of not being enough doesn't arrive all at once. It slips in slowly, through little disappointments, offhand comments, quiet failures, or days where nothing seems to move forward. It lives in the tiny pause before you hit publish, the flinch when someone asks, "What are you working on?" The shrinking inside when your post gets ignored, the heavy feeling when your work, your words, yourself seem to echo into silence. It's not just about social media. It's not just about art. It's about love, identity, worth, visibility. It's about looking at what you've made, your life, your choices, your craft, and wondering, is this enough? Am I? You don't have to be an artist to feel it. You might be a new parent wondering if you're doing enough for your child, a student comparing your journey to someone else's timeline, someone trying to heal wondering if you're healing fast enough, a partner in a relationship fearing you're not lovable as you are, or just a human being in a world that rewards output, speed, and polish, or punishes silence, softness, or becoming. Sometimes not feeling enough is not about lack, it's about pressure. The pressure to be finished when you're still unfolding. The pressure to be seen when you're still hiding. The pressure to have something to show for your pain. And when that pressure gets too loud, we don't just freeze, we begin to erase ourselves. We pull back from opportunities, we stop sharing, we let beautiful things we made go unseen. We put off starting because we think we need to have everything figured out first. Our style, our purpose, our voice. But the truth is, the ones who look like they have it all figured out, they're often hunted too. Every artist, every builder, every healer, every dreamer has felt this fear. You are not behind. You are not invisible. You are not a shadow of who you could be. You're a person still choosing, still returning to the thing you love, even when it feels small, even when no one's watching. And that choice is the definition of enough. You don't need 1,000,000 followers to be real. You don't need to go viral to matter. You don't need to be polished to be powerful. Your value isn't in the proof. It's in the presence. You showed up. That's the bravest thing of all. If you've been haunted by the fear that you're not enough, first, know this. You are not broken. You are not late. You are not lost. You are standing in a fog, not a failure. And fog eventually lifts. Here are some soft ways to begin walking through it, at your own pace, in your own rhythm. 1. Create without outcome. Let go of needing to prove or produce anything. Make something for yourself that no one ever has to see. Doodle in the margins. Write a sentence that goes nowhere. Dance badly in your kitchen. The goal is not beauty, it's aliveness. When enough is tied to outcomes, fear controls the process. But when the process is the point, the fear loses its grip. 2. Speak to the fear directly. When the voice inside says, "You're not good enough," don't argue. Respond. Try saying, "I hear you. I know you're scared, but we're doing this anyway." Or even, "I am enough, even when I don't feel like it." Naming the fear softens it. Responding to it reclaims your voice. 3. Make a mirror ritual. If the mirror has become a source of judgment, turn it into a site of gentleness. Stand in front of it once a week and say one kind thing to the version of you who's still trying. Not praise, not perfection. Just, thank you for showing up. Over time, the reflection changes. Not because your appearance does, but because the energy becomes softer. 4. Share one unfinished thing. Not to break your brand, but to remind yourself that you are allowed to be in process. Yes, for many of us, art is a job. And yes, our social presence is often a reflection of that. And you're also a person beneath the platform. Sharing one imperfect moment, something raw, real, or in progress, can become part of your brand too. It says, I am human. I'm still growing. And that kind of honesty can be magnetic. It invites connection, not just consumption. 5. Redefine what enough means. Take a moment and write your own definition of enough. Not what the world taught you, not what your industry demands, but your truth. Maybe enough means I followed what lit me up. I created something with heart. I chose rest when I needed it. I came back to myself after getting lost. Let this become your compass, not someone else's map. 6. Set a gentle creative routine. Not a rigid schedule, a rhythm. Light one candle when you draw, or put on a specific playlist when you write, even if it's just for 10 minutes. These rituals build trust with yourself. They remind the scared parts of you, we are doing this together, slowly, kindly. 7. Talk to someone who sees you. Whether it's a friend, a therapist, or another artist, share your fear aloud. Say the sentence you're scared to say. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm enough. You might be surprised how often someone replies, me too. You are not the only one in this fog. There are others walking through it, carrying their own unfinished dreams and unnamed doubts. You are not alone. You do not need to defeat the fear of not being enough. You only need to walk beside it without letting it take the lead. You are not behind. You are not erased. You are not missing. You're still here. And that in itself is more than enough. Let's close our eyes for a moment. Wherever you are, sitting in your room, walking through leaves, lying still in the dark, let your body soften. Let your jaw unclench. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath come back to you, not deep or dramatic, just real, just enough. Now imagine this. If you are standing in a quiet room alone, there are no mirrors here, no screens, no watchers, no numbers, no expectations, only you. In your hands, you hold a small sketchbook. Empty pages, clean and waiting. There's no pressure to fill it. No gallery waiting. No critics, no clients, no followers. Just paper and the weight of your hand. And still, you feel afraid. The fear whispers, you're not good enough. You're not ready. You don't matter. Now take that sketchbook and press it gently to your chest. Feel the pulse between your fingers. That steady rhythm. That is your proof. That is your presence. That is your enough. Now let's bring someone else into the room. A younger version of you, maybe 8 years old, maybe 15, maybe yesterday. They sit in a corner, quiet. They look up at you and they ask, do we get to try again? What would you say? Whisper it or say it aloud. Yes. You can try again. You can post again, paint again, rest again, dream again. You can grow into your style, your voice, your timing. You don't have to be perfect to be present. You don't have to be known to be real. You don't have to be ready to be worthy. Now imagine placing a hand on their shoulder, on your shoulder. and saying, "You were never meant to be finished. You were always meant to be felt." Breathe that in. The world will not always see you, but you can choose to see you every single day. You are not a ghost. You are not a draft. You are not fading. You are becoming. And tonight, that is enough. There was a time not too long ago when I finished my master's degree in illustration, and I thought everything would fall into place. I imagined clarity, confidence, and maybe even momentum. But what followed was the longest and hardest creative slump I've ever known. I had the degree, the education, the experience, and still I couldn't create. I felt like it wasn't enough. Like if I didn't have the followers, the clients, the proof, then maybe I had no right to keep putting my work out there. It didn't matter that I had studied for years. It didn't matter that I loved what I did. I still felt like a ghost in my own creativity. But slowly, I began to let go of that need to be perfect. I began to understand that I don't need to have everything figured out. My style, my subjects, my success story, in order to share what I love. I learned that just coming back to my art, after all that time, that was enough. That I was enough. So if you're in that place right now, haunted by self-doubt, uncertain about your voice, unsure whether anyone even sees you, I want you to know I see you. And I believe you're still an artist, even on the days that you make nothing at all. Because your worth isn't measured by your output. It's held in your return. And you just returned by listening, by breathing, by remembering. Thank you for being here with me tonight. Follow Moonlight and Moments wherever you listen and share it with someone who might need a little light today. Until next time, and as always, love yourself better than yesterday.
Faded from my own reflection, drawn in lines I didn't choose. Tried to be the perfect version, but I lost myself in proving truth. Kept my colors in the corner, let my silence do the talking. I was scared if I got louder, they would see I'm just pretending. But I'm still here, in the quiet, in the doubt, still reaching for the light, even when the stars burn out. I don't need to be a masterpiece to know that I belong. I'm still here, and that's enough to carry on. Watch my sketches disappear, felt my name begin to blur, but there's something in the ashes that still whispers you were her. So I'm drawn without answers, I'm painting through the ache, and every line that trembles is a promise I still make, that I'm still here, not polished, not complete, but every time I try again, I plant something at my feet. I don't need the world to see me, to believe I'm strong. I'm still here, and that's enough to carry on.